He had every reason to hate the company that fired him. After 12 years of hard work, they had taken away his job without warning. He went home that night carrying a small cardboard box, knowing he was no longer the man who came home with a paycheck. He was now a single father with bills to pay, a young son to raise, and no idea what tomorrow would bring. But every Sunday, he did something nobody expected. He helped an elderly-looking woman who lived alone next door. He carried her groceries, fixed small things around her house, and sat with her when she needed someone to talk to. What he didn't know was that the woman he had been helping every Sunday was not who she appeared to be. She was the CEO of the very company that had fired him. Before we begin this inspiring story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories, and leave a comment telling us what kindness means to you. Your support helps us share more stories that remind us there is still goodness in the world. Michael had worked at Westbrook Industries for 12 years. He wasn't the highest paid employee, and he wasn't the kind of man who demanded attention. He simply showed up every morning, worked hard, and went home to his 8-year-old son, Daniel. Michael's wife had passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him to raise Daniel alone. Life wasn't easy, but Michael always tried to make his son feel safe. "Don't worry, buddy," he would say whenever money was tight. "We'll figure it out together." And somehow, they always did. Then one cold Monday morning, Michael was called into his manager's office. There were 2 people waiting for him. His manager looked uncomfortable. "Michael, I'm sorry," he said. "The company is restructuring. Your position has been eliminated." Michael stared at him. "After 12 years?" The manager lowered his eyes. "I'm really sorry." Michael walked out of the building carrying a cardboard box with his personal belongings. That box felt heavier than anything he had ever carried. On the way home, he stopped at a small grocery store. He looked at the prices carefully before choosing the cheapest items he could find. When he reached his house, Daniel ran toward him. "Dad! You're home early." Michael forced a smile. "Yeah, buddy. Did you bring anything?" Michael pulled out a small chocolate bar. Daniel's face immediately lit up. "Thanks, Dad." Michael smiled, but after his son ran into the kitchen, he quietly looked away. He couldn't tell his son yet. He didn't want Daniel to be afraid. The next morning, Michael began looking for work. He sent applications everywhere. Days became weeks. Some companies never replied. Others told him they had chosen someone else. His savings slowly disappeared. Then, one Sunday morning, Michael noticed an elderly woman struggling with several grocery bags outside the house next door. Her name was Margaret. She had moved into the neighborhood only a few weeks earlier. Michael immediately walked over. "Here, let me help you with those." Margaret looked surprised. "Oh, that's very kind of you." "It's no problem." Michael carried the bags inside. As he placed them on the kitchen counter, he noticed a broken light bulb hanging from the ceiling. "Do you have a ladder?" Margaret shook her head. "I've been meaning to replace that, but I haven't found anyone to help me." "I can do it." Michael went home, brought his ladder, and replaced the bulb. Margaret smiled. "How much do I owe you?" Michael laughed. "Nothing." "Are you sure?" "Of course. We're neighbors." Margaret looked at him carefully. "You seem like a good man." Michael shrugged. "I'm just doing what anyone should do." That Sunday became the beginning of something unexpected. The following Sunday, Michael visited Margaret again. He fixed a loose cabinet door. The Sunday after that, he cleaned the leaves from her front steps. Another Sunday, he helped carry a heavy box from her garage. Sometimes they sat together and drank tea. Margaret talked about her life. Michael talked about Daniel. He never complained about losing his job. He never told Margaret that his bank account was nearly empty. He never asked her for anything. One Sunday, Margaret noticed Michael looking tired. "You haven't been sleeping well," she said. Michael smiled weakly. Just a little stressed. Why? Michael hesitated. Then he finally told her. I lost my job a few weeks ago. Margaret's expression changed. I'm sorry. It happens. Do you miss the company? Michael looked down. I miss having a job. But the company itself? He paused. They fired me after 12 years. I worked weekends. I stayed late. I trained new employees. I gave them everything I had. Margaret listened silently. What hurts most, Michael continued, is that nobody even thanked me. Margaret looked at him with sadness. Sometimes people don't understand the value of someone until they're gone. Michael smiled. Maybe you're right. What Michael didn't know was that Margaret understood more than she was saying. She knew exactly how Westbrook Industries worked. Because Margaret wasn't an ordinary retired woman. She was Margaret Westbrook, the founder and CEO of Westbrook Industries. She had recently stepped away from the company's daily operations and moved into the neighborhood quietly. She had wanted to see how people treated others when there was nothing to gain. She had met many successful people in her life. People who smiled when they wanted something. People who suddenly became kind when they discovered her position. But Michael had no idea who she was. And that was exactly what made his kindness so meaningful. One Sunday afternoon, Margaret asked Michael a question. If you could have any job in the world, what would you do? Michael thought for a moment. I'd like to work somewhere I can help people. Maybe train young employees. I was good at teaching people. You were? Michael smiled. Yes. I trained almost everyone who joined my department. Margaret nodded thoughtfully. The next Sunday, Michael arrived at Margaret's house and noticed a black car parked outside. He stopped. Two people in suits were standing near the front door. Margaret opened the door. Michael, come in. He stepped inside. Then he saw something on the table. A newspaper. On the front page was a photograph of Margaret. The headline read, Westbrook Industries CEO announces new leadership plan. Michael froze. He looked at the photograph. Then he looked at Margaret. You? Margaret smiled gently. Yes. Michael took a step backward. You're Margaret Westbrook? She nodded. Michael's face went pale. You're the CEO? I am. The company that fired me? Margaret didn't look away. Yes. For a moment, the room was completely silent. Michael felt embarrassed. He suddenly remembered every Sunday. Every grocery bag. Every broken cabinet. Every time he had sat beside her and listened. I didn't know, he whispered. I know. Why didn't you tell me? Because I wanted to know if your kindness had a price. Michael looked hurt. I wasn't trying to get anything from you. I know, Margaret said softly. That's what changed everything. She told him she had reviewed his employment records. She discovered that Michael had trained dozens of employees. She learned that many of the people he had helped were still working at the company. She also discovered something else. His position had been eliminated because of a restructuring decision made by executives who didn't understand his true value. Margaret looked at him. Michael, I can't change what happened. But I can change what happens next. Michael didn't know what to say. Margaret offered him a position as a training supervisor. The job came with a better salary, benefits, and a chance to help new employees build their careers. Michael's eyes filled with tears. Why me? Margaret smiled. Because I didn't hire you because of your resume. She paused. I hired you because I watched what you did when you thought nobody important was watching. Michael wiped his eyes. That evening, he told Daniel the news. We got a new job, buddy. Daniel jumped into his father's arms. You did it, Dad. Michael held his son tightly. "No," he whispered. "We did." Years later, Michael became one of the most respected leaders at Westbrook Industries. He never forgot the lesson Margaret had taught him. And every Sunday, he continued helping people. Sometimes it was an elderly neighbor. Sometimes it was a young employee who needed advice. Sometimes it was simply someone having a difficult day. Michael learned that kindness doesn't always return to us in the way we expect. Sometimes it comes back as a new opportunity. Sometimes as a friendship. Sometimes as hope. And sometimes, kindness changes someone's life without giving us anything in return. But perhaps that's the true meaning of kindness. Doing something good because it is the right thing to do. Michael thought he was helping a lonely woman next door. He never knew that his simple acts of kindness were being noticed by someone who could change his entire future. So remember, you never truly know who is watching. But more importantly, you never know who needs your kindness. A small act. A helping hand. A few minutes of your time. A kind word. It may seem like nothing to you, but to someone else, it could mean everything. Because kindness has a way of traveling farther than we can see. And sometimes, when you help someone else find their way through a difficult moment, you discover that kindness has quietly been helping you all along.